In early March 2026, the United States and Israel were engaged in a large-scale joint military operation against Iran, with the US designating its portion as Operation Epic Fury, and Israel calling theirs Operation Roaring Lion. This campaign, which began on February 28, 2026, involved coordinated airstrikes, missile launches, and drone attacks from air, sea, and land-based assets. By March 9, 2026, US and Israeli forces had struck between 2,000 and over 3,000 targets across Iran, focusing primarily on Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps (IRGC) positions, ballistic missile production and launch facilities, air defense systems, nuclear-related sites, naval assets, and regime leadership infrastructure. The operation resulted in significant Iranian casualties, including the confirmed death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei on the first day, along with other high-ranking officials. U.S. Central Command, CENTCOM, reported that American forces, including F-15, F-16, F/A-18, F-22, and F-35 fighter jets, B-1 and B-2 bombers, and Tomahawk missiles from naval vessels like the USS Abraham Lincoln, had decimated much of Iran's missile arsenal, navy, and ability to produce or rebuild offensive capabilities. The strikes unfolded in phases. On day 1, February 28, approximately 200 Israeli fighter jets and U.S. assets hit over 1,000 initial targets, prioritizing air defenses and missile launchers in western and central Iran to establish air superiority. This paved the way for deeper penetrations, including strikes on Tehran and nuclear facilities. By day 2, operations expanded to oil depots, command centers, and submarines. Over the first week, Israel alone conducted over 3,400 strikes, dropping more than 6,000 munitions and neutralizing around 300 missile launchers. U.S. forces emphasized degrading Iran's long-term rebuilding capacity, with President Donald Trump publicly stating on Truth Social that the campaign was totally demolishing the enemy far ahead of schedule and urging Iranian forces to defect for immunity. Iran responded with retaliatory missile and drone barrages targeting Israel, U.S. bases in Gulf states including Bahrain, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the UAE, and civilian areas, resulting in at least 3 U.S. service member deaths, a dozen civilian fatalities, and injuries to others. Despite these counterattacks, U.S. and Israeli officials claimed Iran's offensive capabilities were severely degraded, with no signs of an immediate end to the operation as of March. The lead-up to Operation Epic Fury stemmed from escalating tensions over Iran's nuclear program and regional aggression. In the weeks prior, renewed U.S.-Iran nuclear negotiations collapsed amid accusations that Iran was advancing toward a nuclear weapon, violating international agreements. The U.S. had amassed its largest Middle East military presence since the 2003 Iraq invasion, including carrier strike groups and additional aircraft. Israel, viewing Iran's missile threats and proxy activities, via groups like Hezbollah and Houthis, as existential, initiated preemptive strikes, with the U.S. joining to prevent nuclear breakout and dismantle terror networks. Trump framed the operation as necessary to destroy Iran's missile arsenal, their navy, and ensure they never get a nuclear weapon, aligning with his administration's hardline stance against Tehran. This followed months of Iranian attacks on U.S. interests and allies, including drone strikes on shipping and bases. The operation has sparked widespread controversy on multiple fronts. Domestically in the U.S., critics like Representative Thomas Massie, Republican Kentucky, and Representative Ro Khanna, Democrat California, argue it's unconstitutional without congressional authorization, pushing for a vote to challenge its legality. Massie has publicly claimed the strike served as a smokescreen to divert attention from the Epstein files scandal, where the DOJ missed a 2025 disclosure deadline amid allegations of a cover-up protecting elites, timing that coincided with the operation's launch. Even within Trump's base, figures like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Tucker Carlson have decried it as a betrayal of his "No New Wars" campaign promise, calling the action disgusting and evil. Internationally, allies like the UK have distanced themselves, with Prime Minister Keir Starmer defending non-participation amid fears of broader escalation. Humanitarian concerns include civilian deaths from Iranian retaliation and strikes in populated areas, potential disruptions to global oil markets, with attacks on Iranian fuel depots causing price spikes, and risks of a wider regional war involving Russia, Turkey, or other actors. Religious rhetoric, such as Pastor John Hagee's sermon predicting divine intervention against Iran's allies, has fueled debates over Christian Zionist influence on policy. Proponents, including Trump and Israeli officials, defend it as a necessary preemptive measure to end Iran's reign of terror, but skeptics warn of overreach, high civilian costs, and uncertain long-term success in achieving regime change or denuclearization without ground forces.